Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I have come after a couple weeks of there not being a whole lot of Tinto stuff to talk about, and being quite busy, to discuss the final Tinto map, the world number 2. They have given feedback on basically the entire planet, I believe, and now they have finally shown us what will more or less be the final look of the map until the game is out. Things will change from there. This we have even a link here. Yeah, link to the first map from January the 6th, the first world map version, and you can see the ways in which it has changed. Which, mind you, in some ways, I think uh, this is not the one I should look at. I should be looking at this one because this is countries with wastelands filled in, which is this one, I think. There's just some weirdness going on with the Chagatai not filling in their color here, but in general, these are the equivalents of each other and what has changed. And this is the original one. I don't know why the map looks like this back then. The texture is all so different, kind of strange. There must be a map. Maybe there's a map mode that they're using that's different. But curiously, they had initially one of the big things that I've noticed. I mean, of course, you've got in the New World the Iroquois didn't exist as a settled tag beforehand, but now there's multiple Iroquois tribes that you can choose to play as, which I've said before. I think that despite the fact that natives are going to be absolutely ridiculously punishing to play, I'm going to have a joy trying and struggling to play as them. Yeah. Hey, Rasak, yes, there's an EU5 yap. It's been a bit. There hasn't been as much for me to talk about. All these people doing their AARs. I don't know. It makes me think like, do I need to start just doing podcasts, yapping about the the people playing the game. Like, oh, I guess today we're doing a stream discussing the 15th Playmaker After Action Report. Yes. Other than that, there's only so much for me to do anymore. But yeah, I think that despite the brutal difficulty, I'm going to muchly enjoy playing as Native Americans for just the whole feel of building a society up from tribal, you've got your tribal agrarian society where they don't even have much in the way of buildings, and you've got to work your best to try and grow your pops and then spread them across the plains before, well, forests, I suppose, the eastern seaboard before Europeans show up in your population tanks. And here in Cahokia, the curious thing is that this is what Cahokia used to look like. And they had originally talked about how they might even try and find a way that a country can turn. They were saying they might even try and find a way that you can turn a society of pops into a. Yes, turn something from a normal settled tag into a society of pops because Cahokia should have a way that it can crumble, and maybe that'll still be the case. But in everything that people have shown us from the game, it looks like they stick around for colonialism. So I guess that's not happening. But instead, what's happened is Cahokia has been given 30% more land. Curiously, they now have a nub that sticks out westwards a bit, which. That's just fine by me. I ain't gonna complain. Mind you, a lot of that land is probably full of pops that are, lots of societies. Yawning. There's probably lots of societies of pops in some of their lands, at least. But yeah, that's some of the most immediately noticeable stuff. The Yeah, there's no extra stuff in South America. Looks like they've still got the same two tags in the north of South America that are playable, the Muisca and then some other one that's on the coast. But what about the rest? The Ethiopians, interestingly, seem to be one thing that's changed a lot. Uh, Curiously, Ethiopia used to They used to have the coast vassalized, but it appears they don't now. Because previously, all this was colored in. It was seemingly just a single tag that was a vassal of the Ethiopian Empire. But here, I thought is independent, and there's also a couple more tags that are just chilling on the coast there. So Ethiopia, and they've broken up Ethiopia into more vassals. So they've both shrunk Ethiopia and split it up more, which is a big whoops for Ethiopia's sake. Um, what about? I thought I noticed something different. Yeah, in sub-Saharan Africa, down, we've got a little bit more land given to whatever this tag here is, but that doesn't really like. I don't even know what that tag is. But also, they've taken away. Yeah, thought that was the case. They've taken away a bunch of stuff as well. There were a couple like actually notable size tags on Madagascar, but those are both gone, which is curious. And they have, I mean, they've shown us every once in a while, we've been able to see that they've added stuff to Lake Victoria. But yeah, they've got three total tags around Lake Victoria now. What about the Mali Empire? Mali Empire looks like it's pretty consistent. Now eastwards. Is there anything? I remember. It's hard to see, but I remember the in the most recent fragmented regions are more fun anyway. Yeah, I fragmented regions are more fun. I think. Oh. I suspect that I'm either going to, when it comes to my own map design, make some people very happy because I'm probably going to make some people very happy because of how splintered I like making the world. I like making things Thunderdome areas Thunderdomes more, and my team needs to rein me in whenever they want stuff to be more consolidated. So I make some people happy with that, I'm sure, but others clearly do not like it when everything is a Thunderdome. Now it's really hard to see up here what's different, but I remember. Yeah, because it's all colored in by the Golden Horde, so you can't really see. It's just that I remember the other day Playmaker did a he did a oh no, this is still looks like it's up to date. He did an AAR and he showed a map of Russia that was really old. So I think he just showed for some reason the Tinto map of Russia instead of the Tinto map feedback for Russia. Just a little funny, but not surprising. All right. Um, China and India. Eh. Well, what about the what? Eh. No, there's not a whole lot else that has changed much. There's some tags that have been broken up more in Persia, but like as far as Asia's concerned, not a whole lot's changed really there. Posted Politica mode screenshot in the dev answers with more zoom. Oh, oh wait, that would be nice. Mind you, you can see more or less everything from up there, just not the names and such. But is greetings, Aim. Yes. Hello. The army-based countries. This is curious because um, there's a lot less. I look at this image and it makes me think, huh? I kind of just assumed that there were more. There's just not a lot of hordes, and I just kind of assumed there'd be more for some reason. I don't know why, but hey, maybe if maybe when a certain man, uh, if Timur does not die of the Black Death, maybe he won't. Maybe he'll get far enough some games to conquer a bunch of land, but not far enough to found his empire. So Golden Horde will probably split into more. Yeah, I kind of have a feeling though. Like we've seen gameplay of like we've seen people playing the game, and then mid game the Golden Horde just gets destroyed, usually by like either the Timurids declare war on them, and then as a result, because the Timurids just take everything they occupy, they just annex the whole Golden Horde, or they'll be at war with like the Chagatai and also a Russian, and then it causes their whole country to just collapse, but then they get eaten, so you don't even get to see those collapsed hordes. But I don't know. Again, according to Playmaker the other day when he was doing his Russia AAR, he claimed that the horde collapsed and you got to see folks like No Guy and Uzbek, which is curious. We'll have to see how much that holds true once we actually get to see more of the game. But building-based country, there's some really small. There's some really small ones here. It's so cute. Look at this, like one province army-based country. Aww. And also, okay. I'm saying that, you know, I am saying that it's very few army-based countries, but this is ignoring the fact that the Jalarids are a monstrous power because they own, you know, all this land up here, and they own Baghdad. I think they own Baghdad. It's hard to tell for sure which side of this border it lies on. But I think the hooligans are their vassal too. Or maybe not. I don't know. But the point is, they have like all of these people, including the Oretnids out west, vassalized. So while it's not, you know, technically army-based countries, they'll integrate these people over time. But as for building-based countries, wait, wait. I don't see the holy orders anymore. Did they get rid of the holy orders? I don't see the holy orders anymore. There were like they were like three building based country holy orders. They got rid of the fucking holy orders? You're kidding me. You're kidding me. No. No. Yeah, there were three, maybe two. But there were like three in Spain. Bro. What? That is tragic. There has to be a way that I can just to be re-added in a free patch, so they claim. Oh, well, so they removed them, but they're gonna re-add them in a free update once they've worked on them more, is the idea? Hmm. Okay. If they say so. Hmm. Well, that's gonna have to. They did not like the gameplay. Okay. Well, they don't like the gameplay of that, but they like the gameplay of the banking houses. I don't know how the gameplay of the banking houses would be much different. Hmm. I'm skeptical and a little sad about this. I really liked that. I guess the Hansa makes their money through trading, so 100% will add holy orders for free, but then all the flavor for them is locked behind a DLC. Yeah. Ugh. Here's hoping not. Ugh. And we don't even need to get started on the daimyo exists. It's like, yeah, they're there. Yeah. God damn it. Hmm. Now that they've taken out the holy orders, though, it means that it's going to be harder for me to. I'm going to have less access to code for different types of building-based countries to work off of, which is going to be a little frustrating. Um, yeah, and I am already aware. I am already aware, Aim, that yeah, they're like at this point they're doing it on purpose, right? At this point, they 100% are doing it to me on purpose. Like, there's, there's like no way that they aren't doing this on purpose. It has to be. Like, there is no way that they aren't on purpose doing this to me. Where they're, where they're actively making everything other than the three Blackfoot tribes in North America. Everything else in North America is a settled country or is a society of pops that's represented, except the Blackfoot. It has to be on purpose to fuck with me. There's no way. There's no way. Yeah, maybe all the other ones invented walls. Who knows, Joffrey? Who knows? Maybe everyone else invented walls. Who can say? It's not like the Blackfoot are important or anything. Yeah, it's not like they, yeah, not like they're more significant or anything. It's not like, you know, yeah, we get the Haida, Joffrey. You should be happy. The Haida are a society of pops. You love the Haida. Yeah, the Vikings of the Pacific Ocean. You should be so happy, Joffrey. That should calm you down. It's not like you really want the guy in eyes sick and what's the other one? Picayune. Oh, why? I'm gonna crash out so much from this. Oh, oh my god. This cannot stand. They added so many Society of Pops, but not but just the Finns had walls. Yep, the Finns are all on the map. Yeah, the Finns. Yep, the Sapmi are there too. Yep, it's just all great. I'm so happy for you, Aim. I'm so happy. Ah! I'm gonna give myself terrible neck pain if I keep this up. Calm down, Joffrey. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I'm sure in an update later down the road they'll add them, right? They'll add them later on. They'll totally add them post-release. They would never. Yeah. Did they have to make new words for furniture and walls? I don't like you. I don't like you guys. Y'all are mean. I don't like you. Yeah, you get country ranks. Yeah, lots of duchies in Eastern Europe. Curiously, Day 1 update for Blackfoot tribes. They would totally do that just to mess with me at this point. Like there is just no way that they didn't do that on purpose to screw with me. It has to be on purpose. That has to be just a funny, an LOL funny prank they're pulling on me specifically because I am him. Hmm. Yeah, country types. Step forward. Yeah, all the natives appear a tribe, but then the ones in Central and South America are there's a lot of actual monarchies, interestingly. And I'm curious what the distinction is because this map doesn't really like we don't get an institution map, but something I'd really like to see. I would love to see just a map of who has what institutions, you know? Oh, all the African ones down here are monarchies and stuff too. Oh, the Muslim, yeah, colonial republic things in Madagascar, I guess, is what those ones are here. Might be a republic in Central America. Yeah, yeah, that image there does look like it's a republic in Central America. I'm not sure what the deal with that is, but that's curious. Uh, Definitely would make for an interesting start then, because um, that would mean they don't have the same major government reform that everyone else around them does. Because I'm pretty sure it's a major reform that makes most of what they do. The location map is just whack. Like, look at Bermuda. Is this not wild? Look at Bermuda is just there by itself as a single location, but it's significant enough. They've given it a full sphere of ocean tiles around it that you can sail to. Giving it the royal treatment, just like every other location around it. Every other time you get an island, there's a circle of sea tiles around it, which is very curious. Oh. As far as my own province mapping stuff is concerned, I've been avoiding doing naval stuff yet because I've wanted to see how they adjust their own naval map as the game's development goes along, and it does seem like in the time since I do believe that they have changed this. No, actually, hold on. I'm just getting a placebo effect. It looks okay. I held off on the naval. Well, okay. The one difference is there's one along the south. That's the main thing. But it looks like for the most part, I held off without any need in regards to naval stuff because it looks like it's mostly the same. Really, basically the only huge difference is the fact that as we've seen in all of the gameplay, that every time someone's played as Greenland, they can't go northwest to colonize. They need to go south and then west. Hello, dude line. Hello, hello. Yeah, they're making Tenochtitlan they're making Tenochtitlan a location, channel. Just not an island. So yeah, it's a it was South Atlantic Islands of Circles. Uh, but yeah, yeah, there's the ones at the very south. Because before none of these were even on the map, interestingly, but now they are. Only the coastal stuff really matters anyway. What are people gonna do? Blockade the high seas corridor? Um, Depends. I think it depends. Hmm, I don't know, really. I guess the more I think about it, I don't really know what you would do. 'Cause, I don't know if it'd be possible to create a Polynesian empire of only the shithole South Arctic islands. I don't really think that would be a good idea. Gonna be honest, I don't think that would be the play. But yeah, the thing is, I don't know. Oh, oh, look at those. Look at those little islands. I didn't notice that. I never noticed these, and the fact that they kind of just stick off like a slowly rotting off limb. These three. So, what's the difference between purple and teal corridors? So I don't think there's any actual difference in the colors of the corridors. But there is a map that later on yeah, provinces, yeah, terrain. Uh, this terrain map. This is the thing that shows you the difference between the different ocean tiles, because you have a couple because this shows you actually what the terrain type is, because there's a difference between narrows, inland seas, coasts, ocean, and deep ocean. So you get basically like when it comes to like these islands, every island has a coast tile next to it, then an ocean tile next to it, and then the actual open ocean tiles, the deep ocean, are ones that are not near any land, and they're primarily reserved just for the corridors. However, the Polynesians really fuck with this because there's so many random islands that it makes the this whole area just a jumbled mess. I highly doubt it's the direction of wind, but it's possible. Higher attrition in open seas, yes, yes, of course. It's double. I mean, you have a base of one attrition in open ocean, and then, or in just for being in the ocean, and then you get, yeah, it becomes two base attrition for the deep ocean. Said that before, right? Some lanes are faster. Yeah, they did say that. Yes, they did say that there is a difference. I'm just saying it's probably not the color. The color probably doesn't like signify the direction, because you wouldn't see that in a given game. You wouldn't see that color, but who knows? But yes, some sea lanes are faster to go different directions in because the trade winds exist. The prevailing ocean currents will assist you or harm you when you're trying to cross in certain ways. I do always love looking at the east coast of Asia, where so much of this is just inland sea. It's so fun to look at. EU4 also had wind modifiers, but 99% of players don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really do much, but you would see it on the I forget even what map mode. It was either the trade map mode or the colonial map mode. I assume it's the trade map mode, but it affected a few things. At least colonial range and uh trade stuff. But don't know for sure. Hmm. Num num. But the climates I don't know. Okay, what's we go down to climates. Has the climate changed in any notable way, really? I somewhat doubt it. Yeah, not really. It has not really changed. Shocking. Moving on to the topography. This one I suspect. No, like you just have some more wetlands, really, and a lot less mountains actually, or in some places less, and in some places more. Hmm. They took a ton of mountain tiles away from the Rockies. They took a ton of mountain tiles away from the Rockies and added more plateaus to Scandinavia. Huh. I think the I think those are the plateaus, at least. Oh no, those are hills. I think that the hill color. I don't even remember what the plateau color is anymore. Or did they remove plateaus? This is wetland. Because before, yeah, there's brown, brown all over the place. And then that's that color now. Because in the old one, yeah, you got all this color for plateau. Oh no, no, plateau still exists. Plateau still exists, they just changed the color to be something I almost didn't notice. That's kind of funny. It's this very, like, yellowy green color. Huh. So yeah, it's still around. It's used quite a bit, actually. Jesus, a lot of Africa as plateau. It's the whole interior of sub-Saharan Africa is basically on a plateau. Jeez. Vegetation. Yes, we all mourn the loss of a terrain testing island. Hmm, not much to say here other than the fact that the United States has a lot more forest now. The United States has a lot more forest, and then the you know Pacific Northwest has is a lot more splotchy, with some of it being turned into forest. So many mountains south of China. Oh, in the yeah. South of China is very elevated. It's both the south of China is both super mountainous and super jungly. It is very weird. There's two very distinctive like geographical regions in China, despite it being it's one massive nation. Uh, it's very distinct geographically. Dangers. I don't think we had a danger map before. A beautiful Kamchatka, yes, with all of its volcanoes. This is lovely, full of danger zones. And of course, Lisbon. Lisbon needs to be a danger zone for them earthquakes. Yeah, yeah. Gotta have the famous Lisbon earthquake. Uh, Not a lot of volcanoes, of course, in the Europe area, but there is one on Sicily. Lots of them, though, in Central and South America. Just the whole western side of the Americas is covered in earthquakes and volcanoes. Whoa, the Aleutian Islands, or Aleutian, I don't know. The Aleutian Islands are full of volcanoes. That's nuts. Uh, I do think that, and yeah, Java, of course. Though I think they said somewhere that the volcanoes, when they erupt, it's kind of like Civ 6, where when a volcano erupts, there's some bonuses you get as well as penalties. Um, oh, Anatolia. Yeah, yeah, Anatolia and just Greece, all that is just, it's like a direct image of Naples and Sicily as well. Just all of this is just nasty. It's going to be a rough time. My neck is getting sore. God damn it, Joffrey. Ah. Japan's not great either. Like Anatolia is going to be rough for earthquakes, but hey, at least you're not Japan that's also full of volcanoes, or Java, which basically is one giant volcano. Same with the Philippines. Jesus Christ. Sheesh. There's a lot of places in Central America that have volcanoes but no earthquakes. That's curious. Harbors. This is something I've been really wondering about is the fact that we've been seeing that you can make harbors and such in the Great Lakes. So I'm curious whether that means you can build a navy in the Great Lakes like you can in the Caspian Sea, or whether that just means that like you can use the Great Lakes to like build harbors for the sake of projecting control. Don't know. But there's some really good potential harbor places there, which is interesting. Development, which is, of course, very one-sided, very, very one-sided towards China and India, with the Ganges and the Yellow Rivers, respectively, being ludicrously developed, with the only place that can even remotely compete being the Po Valley and, I suppose, Cordoba. War of 1812 Naval Edition. Yeah, I somehow don't think that we're going to have people sailing up and battling in the St. Lawrence like we did historically, though. So, tragic. Tragic. Location ranks is also an interesting one that we only get to see so much of, but I suppose the fact that you don't get to see more of the west of the United States, yeah, means that there's not going to be. I don't think the Navajo have any towns or cities, huh? But they do show us the fact that Cahokia itself is a town, which is a very good thing to note. Um, your tall golden horde. Oh, shush. I'm just here about my Cahokia grind set, my dudes. I wanna play as Cahokia where they've got a town set up already. And the fact that they've got a town means that is the first step toward that you need towards actually developing yourself. Because as soon as you've got a town, it means you can make urban buildings. So you can actually start manufacturing some stuff. That's going to be very important for actually building yourself up. Once you've got that town, that means that you're going to be able to start manufacturing gear, and once you've got your weapons and such, you're going to be able to start colonizing and exploring. Theoretically, at least. But, yeah, is anyone surprised that China is roughly 50% urban tiles? No. No one is. As well as, India has a lot more cities than it has towns. Town means you are advanced on the Greenland scale. Oh my god. Yes, when compared to Greenland, you have advanced. You are a advanced and prosperous society with a town. I mean, we did hear there was the student playing Greenland, and he did use his parliament, and there was a parliament issue where if he passed the issue, it would give him a town. So, just gotta if you're playing as someone that doesn't have any towns, you're playing Greenland, you just gotta get that parliament issue passed. Mind you, I don't see the point. I don't think I'm gonna see any point in playing as Greenland when Iceland exists, because Iceland's just better than Greenland in every way and has the same, like it has all the same mechanics as Greenland, but it's just better at them. So like Greenland's there for the challenge, but Iceland's like an actual, like you can build up Iceland, and also again Iceland has the same bonus that Greenland has of being able to explore and colonize early. So, like if you want to, yeah, realistically, I'd just be playing Iceland, build myself up enough that I can afford to explore and colonize, and then go explore to the New World. And I guess once I get to the New World, I just create a colony and make it independent, because I'd create that one colony and make it independent, because if I don't make it independent, like we've seen that it's very, very difficult to become strong enough to win independence as a colony and Exodus in general. So realistically, you'd want to make a single colony and then just jump to it and make it independent. Oh wait, no, you can't. You can just switch to playing as it, but it doesn't let you switch to it and make it independent at the same time, I don't think. Once you terraform Greenland, you can pack a lot of people there. Terraform Greenland, yes, yes. Hmm. The fun meme tag versus the challenge meme tag. Exactly. Iceland is the fun meme tag, and Greenland is the challenge meme tag, where you have no wood, you have literally no lumber, and you have to import all of your wood from overseas. The only wood that you get in the Greenland market is either just the base lumber production that because every market produces just a set number of various resources just on a base level based on the number of pops in it, just so that the game can function. So you just get that very basic number of wood that is mostly just going to be used by pops for heating because they live in fucking Greenland, or you're importing it all the way from Europe. And fun fact, Norway doesn't have a lot of wood either. Actually, no, Norway does have more wood than the rest of Scandinavia, I think. I don't know. But, I've told you all before, I'm really looking at North Africa as the region I want to play in. I still think there's a very good chance I'm going to play Morocco as my first playthrough. There is a very good chance that my first playthrough will be Morocco. However, ever since that religious dev diary, I didn't do a Tinto talk for because a Tinto talk podcast for because it's basically just all the information we already knew. Like, what was the point of that? One thing we learned in that last religious Tinto talk dev diary thingy was that you are able to, as long as there is at least, no, you don't even need to, I think it's like, as long as there's any other religion in your country that's in your religious family, you can switch to it. So like any country that has any Waldensians in it, for example, can just swap to Waldensian. So like at any point in the game, France can just swap to Cathar at game start and just, have terrible consequences, but you can. And we've seen that, like, as Greenland, there are events that cause heretics to spawn in your country no matter where you are. So as Greenland, there just were some Waldensians, Bogomils, and Cathars. So you could realistically just you're just playing the game as Greenland, just be like, I'm just gonna swap to Waldensian real quick. Yeah, Greenland has its own market. They have no connection to like the other. Like Iceland is already way too far away for them to have the same market. So it's terrible. Uh, how much resources would yeah? Because Greenland has like no resources. It's terrible. You have like some ivory, some sheep, and rock. That is like all you've got. Fish. You got fish, ivory, wool. Eh. You want to play as Hawaii? Yeah. I think Hawaii is a settled country. I don't remember for sure. They might have actually made Hawaii settled, but I don't know for certain. Hmm. Africa seems fun in general, just for the build-up. Yeah, exactly. I think that one of, if not the most fun things in this game is going to be the building up from nothing. Is going to be playing as a country that does not have things and then building up to have things. So I think that as far as when it comes to the design of my world in my mod, I think I'm going to want to make a lot of places on the map that you're able to play that have very good resources. However, they just have no build up. Like they haven't built up anything. They're tribal and they don't have much in the way of any buildings. So you'd have to play as those people, and you start as a tribal. You got bad institutions, but you can get all of the stuff. You can get a better government. You can get the institutions, and you can build the stuff, but you just don't have it at the start. So you get to spend, because I think that EU5, as we've seen more and more with people, a big problem with it is that you just get too strong too quick. So I think that having more places that you can play where you are going to be weaker longer, and there's going to be people that will contest you later, is going to be a big fun element, I think. So like your tall golden horde, no, because your tall golden horde is going to have so much land in it. That can't be that hard. Just kill Timur before he shows up. Like the Chagatai, theoretically, right? If you kill the Chagatai before he shows up, he just won't. You can just tell him to piss off, right? I don't know. Pops and RGOs, pops RGOs locations, but no stuff. Yeah, exactly. Give you some RGOs at most. Be like, yeah, there you go. Also culture. That's another thing. Make sure that the place like isn't all the same culture, so that that's going to be a big thing. Um, the interestingly, again, um, still not going to talk too much in depth, but the region on my map, for my mod that has the biggest population density, so it has just more pops than like most other places, really. It's the highest population density on the planet. That area also has a ridiculous amount of cultural differences. So it's very hard for anyone in that region to actually accept each other. A lot of the cultures don't like each other, and they're very different. Very few of them share the same like language and stuff as well. So there's going to be a lot of people that, although they have lots of pops, it's very hard for them to actually integrate lands. They have to rely a lot more on vassals to manage stuff, or just bite the bullet and suffer having this land that it's very high in pops, but the pops are the wrong culture, so you got to work a lot at converting them. Uh, it won't be hard, just fun economic buildup. Exactly. Yeah, that's I think what's going to be a lot of the joy from that sort of thing. I really mind you, Morocco and like North Africa, they've got a lot of cities here. Interestingly, they're actually like more. They've got a higher city number of cities compared to Iberia, but they're going to fall off compared to Iberia as the game goes along, theoretically, as AI. Because at game start, Morocco is just very good, and they've got because they're about to take over Tlemcen, and then they get scripted content to subjugate Tunis as well. So Morocco is going to be in a very good spot to just become the rising power on the edge of the arena, which is really cool. I like that. So like playing as Morocco, if anything, is going to be too strong. If anything, Morocco will just be too good, and I won't want to do it. I want to play someone weaker. Like I like how likely is it? Um, I mean, at some point, I'm going to want to play Bohemia, obviously, because Bohemia is going to be really cool for how much it's got the great resources. It's the Holy Roman Emperor pretty easily, that sort of thing. But also too easy. I got to play someone small and weak. Recommend having no China or India pop equivalent is bad for gameplay. That's the thing. Yeah. So the thing when it comes to designing the world map, and the more I've thought about stuff, so the 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 place that had the highest, okay, when it comes to the pops, and there's probably we'll probably get to like do we have a population one? No, we don't have a population one. Oh, what about the old one? No, jeez. Well, that kind of sucks. At the top here, I know they say the population. Um, yeah, 426 million population worldwide. There is a very good chance that once I'm done my map, like there's some people, okay, there's some people on my team that really want to have the exact same population numbers as vanilla, but I don't really want that because um, there's a population second to the last one. Language, dialects, religions, raw materials, markets, development. Population. Oh, it's population density. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't. Okay. No, I got no excuse. I got no excuse, Aim. I can try my best, but I got no excuse. I'm just blind. Alright. But yes, you can have high pop areas, just less of an overwhelming difference. Yes. Because the thing is, the more that we've seen about the game, the more it feels like it is just really bad for the game feel and balance. The fact that, but it's realistic is the problem. Vanilla is locked into this. But I think for my part, I'm probably just going to have a lot less pops. There's probably just going to be a lot less pops in my setting than in vanilla. There's like I would not be surprised if we have like half the pops, which would mean the performance would be better. But I think there's just going to be a lot more pops, a lot less pops in general. There would be population dense areas, yes. Uh, the Europe, but like in some cases, that's like in some cases that's because the Europe of our setting is very scrunched together and not by their choice. Um, but you get to well, holy shit, Lake Victoria is dense. But yeah, like you get the Ganges and like there are so many people lumped into these areas. It is ludicrous how many pops there are, just scrunched into these specific areas, and as a result, the game needs to account for that, and they get as a result they get new modifiers. Like I'm sure any of y'all who watch me probably watch plenty of other folks. I know Azrael says, "Are we all just assuming we'll play as well as generalist playmaker, etc.?" Not so. That is not what we're discussing here. Is the fact that people play as well as those people. The point is that you it means that from a gameplay standpoint, yeah, it's not a case of like, oh, if you play as well as them, you'll just have an easy game. It's the fact that some regions are just stronger as a result by a wide margin. Um, because the thing with like India, all of India is so incredibly population dense, and as a result of it being so pop dense, um, as Playmaker was saying, you get all of these you unique like innovations and stuff for India. That's like, oh, because they've got so many pops, we need to account for this by giving them extra tech that lets them have even more pops to account for that because it's hard for them to manage. And I'm sure that China does the exact same thing, but it's on just such a enormous difference. The scale is just like all of you get some small country in south like a game start Vijayanagar it's got what 3 mil. You got 3 million pops in Vijayanagar, which at game start is relatively small. um it's like 1/8. Yeah, Vijayanagar is like 1/8 the size of Castile at game start, yet it has over half of its pops. It has so much more. And it's not just a case of it being more pops, so it's stronger. It's how dense they are. They're all together. You got the Yellow River, the Yellow and Yangtze rivers, the Ganges. All these places are so pop dense. It means you can just sit there during the early game and just build up around that single location and make it super developed with all of your control. You'll have tons of control there, and it will be all incredibly like actually developed up. You will have the pops for it. Meanwhile, in like Castile, England, you'll eventually run into a situation if you're trying to develop really high in place, you'll start to run out of pops. And as a result of that, that's when the fact that you don't have as many pops becomes a problem, and you get people like generalists who it's like, oh, you want to have slavery, like play like a North African, so you can forcibly move pops to where you want them to build up. But here, that's never even a question because you'll never run out. You'll just never run out of pops like in any of these places. And as the game goes on, this advantage only gets stronger because we've seen that as of now, at least, when you start stacking those proximity modifiers, it starts to get ridiculous, and you're able to get 100% control by the like in like the mid game, which hopefully they'll rebalance. But the point is, as you start scaling up your control, it just means more and more areas are able to be developed to the moon. So an India or a China player will just take the world if they want to. No one can stop them. Yeah, yeah, because he was showing like playmaker playing the Ottomans. The Ottomans next to the Timurids are the most expansionist tag in the game. The Ottomans have so many things going for them for how fast they can expand, and yet despite that, he it took him like 200 years. It took him like 2 centuries of playing as the Ottomans. Like he needed to get to the Ottoman Empire's like the start of their apex, where he had Greece, he had Anatolia, he was going down to Baghdad, he was conquering Egypt, he had all of that, and only then was he finally at like, okay, now this is like Vijayanagar, like 10 years into the game. What? This tiny ass country at game start just because it has so many pops, and there's nothing that can be done about it. There is just nothing that can be done because that is just how this game works. It has to be this way because this is the real world we're dealing with. So that they will have more levies than other nations have pops. Exactly. And the Delhi Sultanate, too. The Delhi Sultanate. Let's not forget the Delhi Sultanate. Holy shit. The Delhi Sultanate is a Muslim country, too, with Mamluks. They have slave soldiers. They have, at game start, they don't even need to research professional armies to get a bunch more manpower because they get unique buildings like the other Mamluk tags that give them just extra stuff. So the Mamluks and Delhi Sultanate, despite the Delhi Sultanate supposed to be falling apart, it just doesn't. It's too strong. And the Mamluks, heaven forbid, that's the most ridiculous tag on the map. the Mamluks have so much population for the region. Like you compare them to the rest of the Mediterranean Eurosphere region. No one in sub-Saharan Africa that can contest them, of course. But they have so many people in the Delta. They can develop the hell out of that. It's good land too. They got all those pops there. They can shoot it to the moon. They're not facing any crises either. It's just what? So, yeah, that's why I think that, like, it's something that makes sense for the game because that's just how it works. It's historical. It has to be that way. But when it comes to mods, myself included, I really think there's a very good chance that when it comes to making my mod and others, that let me just is there any? No, I'm still in here by myself. I was just had to double check if anyone had crept into the podcast room with me. I I really think that when it comes to modders, and definitely for myself, I'm going to implore that people don't have this, don't have this situation. And I know, there's like you've got places like Anbanar, because that's the one everyone's thinking about. You can't just pretend you're not. Everyone's thinking about Anbanar. I'm even thinking about it. I'm making my own mod. I'm going to play the hell out of it too. It's going to be amazing. But Anbanar is going to run into a bit of a trap if they don't rework some stuff. Because the problem is going to come about from what do they do with the fact that Yanshen and Eastern Sarhal are absurd population-wise. Yanshen has the population. I think I'm going to go on a limb here. When it comes to mods, this is going to be a big trap because you got mods like Anbanar where Yanshen has the population of IRL China, but it's scrunched into the space of Southeast Asia. You have Southeast Asia amount of space. That's like what Yanshen realistically takes up on the map. And yet it has the population of IRL China. Now how does that translate to EU5? Good thing about mods is that you can do whatever you want. Yes, that's the thing. That's the thing. I have that freedom still. I can do whatever the hell I want with my project. I just need to discuss it with my own team, and people are going to agree with me. Realistically, people are going to agree. I talk about it like, what do we want to do? We've seen that these are the problems that come from EU5 having some areas with just ludicrously more pops. So, we'll make the pops more equal. No places that are just like triple the pops of the Europe equivalent or some such thing. But when it comes to Anbanar, for example, and I love it dearly, and in fact, once this stream is over, I'm going to take a little bit of break to have a snack, and then I'm going to go play the Vicky 3 mod for Anbanar, do some more pre-release streaming of that, because it's on the brain. And they finished comp patching it a couple days back. But the problem is going to be for them, they have places like Eastern Sarhal and Yanshen, and also, they've got 3 places, because realistically, the Raj, lots of the east of their map is just whoop, population number wise. So we're going to have to see how that actually plays out for them and what they decide to do about it. But it makes me cross my fingers and I'm a little spooked. But this is thank you for coming to my TED Talk and listening to me yap. But God, just as Rasak was saying there with bringing up the fact that they have more levies than other nations have pops, I am of the opinion that when it comes to me making my map and adding stuff to my mod, if there's ever a situation where in vanilla, they've talked about how India and China, if you're a country with Indian or Chinese pops, they've had to actively make it so that your levy regiments and also just men-at-arms, your men-at-arms and levy regiments are just larger than everyone else's on like a troop size basis because you're not playing the same game. You have so many more people. You are just astronomically ahead of everyone. You don't have the techs Sure, but you'll get them eventually. And you just aren't playing the same game. Everyone else is playing catch up to you. And they'll never be able to catch up. Ugh. Here, rant over. I think uh that should be all before we talk about the responses. We'll talk about the dev responses in a second. Ah, all for today. Tinto flags. We'll talk about a few weeks how we've been working on them. Huh. That's weird. Tinto flags. On Wednesday the 1st, Tinto talks about three generic disasters: aspiration for liberty, court and country, and the decline of the empire. That sounds very nice. I like that. I like the sound of that. I like having more dynamic disasters that can happen to you where it's a case of being more experienced at the game. Your skill at the game is going to mean that you can avoid these things. However, there'll still be a risk and something you need to think about. That is another thing I really am keen on, and I personally am going to want to try and lean into that sort of thing. Dynamic disasters and dynamic situations. All of that sort of thing. Also, just more situations in general. Because the more that I hear these after action reports, the more it sounds to me like this is a case of people get tired of the game because they don't know what else to do. They don't know what else to strive for. They're playing and they feel like I don't know what I'm trying to do. What am I aiming for at this point? I've formed, he played Russia yesterday, Playmaker, and he's like, well, what do I do now that I've formed Russia and I'm super strong? There's nothing else he has to worry about. No more disasters. Nothing else that can challenge him. Um, yes, exactly. Decline of empire, you say. Tell me more. I am very curious what that could be. Because that implies to me the fact that it is decline of empire, decline of that empire, and it's a generic disaster. That means this isn't like decline of the Byzantines or something, or the Delhi Sultanate, or the Chinese. Or, uh, actually, okay, I say decline of the empire couldn't be Chinese. I'm really crossing my fingers it's not, because now that I think about it, it could just be a you've lost the mandate of heaven thing, which I really hope it isn't. What I want this to be, and I'm crossing my fingers for, I'm hoping that this is going to be um, a situation that, or a disaster that can happen to any country, which theoretically it is. Theoretically, since it's generic, theoretically this is something that can happen to any country and will be a check on your power if you mess something up while you're growing. I think communicating why you should play is one of the core issues that sandbox games have to design around. Yes, yes, that is one of the biggest things that, you know, if you don't provide the player you need to, I say provide, you need to communicate to them why they should care. Yeah, why they should care. Why do I want to keep going? What is there left to accomplish? Um, because there is always going to be the case of like people will get too strong. That's always going to happen. And there's only so much I can do. It's something I've had to reconcile a lot with when I've talked with my team and then you folks as well about things like, well, what do you do when you're trying to do you when you're trying to make a mod try and come up with more ways to punish a player for doing well. Like a player is winning the game, do you then give them a disaster that stops them from winning? And usually the answer to that is no. It's very difficult to come up with ways to check a player's success if they're winning by so much. I've got some ideas of ways that theoretically if a player's winning just way super dominant over other factions in the game that something could be done, but that's different. Um, but in general here, the point I'm trying to make is I do very much agree with you, Remblemont, that I think that when you're playing this sort of game, the mission trees of EU4 were that the one thing I have to give them credit for is that they give players a case of I want to keep playing because I want to keep clicking the funny buttons. I don't like those. I think that, and I personally am going to really want to, when it comes to my own design, lean heavily into situations. I want to make situations appear everywhere, every age. There's going to be stuff to do, and you're going to be thinking, I want to stick around because I want to do this thing that's going to happen. Hopefully, decline of Empire is a mid to late game situation that affects empires. I would, yeah, that's what I'd hope for. Yeah, I'd hope it's something that can happen to empires as the game goes on if you're too strong. Like, if you're too, I say too strong, not if you're too strong, if you're too bloated. If there'd be some way that it would check your power if you're expanding too much without something to keep it in check. Something like average control, if you could imagine. Like, your country's gotten too big. It's a certain point of the game. Your country's too big. The estates aren't happy, and your land has too little control. I think most Paradox titles are too easy, and EU4 used achievements as inspiration for campaigns, but even those goals rarely last into the late game. Good answer is having AI keep up. For good players, that will never happen. Hate the mission trees. I want help with setting a reasonable goal, but freedom to pick my own path to reach it. Okay, yeah. Seems we've got a lot of folks that agree with each other in this chat right now. So, formable nations are a tough thing. That I like. That they're a tough thing in that regard. Where in some cases, I've considered being like, oh, maybe something I can do is just make a ton of formable nations that are formable by like anyone. Be like, oh, unite this region, because we've seen that Europa's a formable. So it's like, oh, Joffrey's like, oh, well, maybe I should make just a ton of those, and that'll just fix it. And it's like, no, that's not gonna fix it. If it's just like, oh, every game, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna make my goal form Europa. What an amazing goal. That's there's only so much of that a player can stomach. Um, but for sure having so as far as what Ramblemo was saying, yeah, I think that situations are going to be situations and like the unique aspect of each age and what the age wants you to do, the gameplay loop for each age being unique and having effects, buttons you can click, things you want to strive for, things you want to avoid, unique problems, unique gains. Like every age should feel like there is some new stuff going on, and it's new stuff that can both harm you and benefit you depending on how you interplay with it. That's something I really think is key to keeping players engaged, so that they'll be in the age of Renaissance, and they'll be like, well, colonialism will happen, but the next after once the age of colonialism's happening, what's the next one? Every age you want to be like, what's the next thing that's going to happen that's going to keep me engaged, and I need to, I'm excited to resolve that in my own way. And as far as Rasak is saying, have the AI keep up, but for good players that will never happen. In regards to that, I feel like something you can do is make rules that will cause like if you've changed the rule setting, because there's difficulty, of course, easy, normal, hard, very hard, that sort of thing. But an additional sort of thing like what, again, always going to be referencing Anbanar. They did it first and best. The fact that they've got a option when you start up their game where you can get these characters to spawn that will be conquerors. I really like that system, because that concept of that system where I think that's something that a lot of mods should embrace as just a thing that they have integrated, where you can just toggle a setting that will cause certain tags to just become much more aggressive. Not necessarily the bonuses, but definitely the aggressiveness. What I want from a grand strategy game is more complex reasons for expansion rather than expanding for pops. I want better ways to be able to expand for resources. Every age should have a new way to play with the pieces already provided. That's why small starts are the best. Stays fun longer because you made the underdog. Yeah, great conqueror situation. I'm gonna take a screenshot of what y'all have. This basically that whole section of the chat right there. I need to take a screenshot of what y'all are saying. I gotta take notes on this. I'm gonna be honest. Complex reasons for expansion rather than expanding for pops. Better ways to be able to expand for resources. Better ways to be able to expand for resources. Not just expanding to get more pops, but expanding because you want more of the thing. Yeah, I think that I really that is one thing I this one thing I really want to I want to try. It's going to be hard to do, but one thing I really want to try doing personally is I want to make there be unique resources for my mod that are rare and sometimes barely available in certain regions. And so you do really want to get access to them because they'll help later in the game. Kind of like if you can imagine again, I'm gonna always reference Anbanar because people play that. People know what I mean when I reference it. You look at like Anbanar's precursor relics. Those are like the only time in the entirety of EU4. It's shocking how like Anbanar actually managed to make EU4's resources actually useful because precursor relics. And Dame's Deer actually they made both of them useful despite EU4 being just terrible when it comes to resources. You want both of those, but precursor relics later in the game because you need them for artificery. That's the concept. I love that notion that during the game, there's certain resources you just need to expand to get because otherwise you're buying them at a ridiculous markup, and other people will just be stronger because they'll have the control of it. I love that stuff. I I've got a couple resources that are going to be like that already. There's one whole continent. There is an entire continent, for example, in my setting that you want to get to it because of a certain resource, but you just can't early game, and people don't even really know why it's useful early game. So there's no reason to go there, and there's no way to go there. But as the game goes on, you'll get the ability to go to that continent, and you'll want the stuff that's there, but you don't need it early game because it's basically just the same as any as like the other resource it's similar to. That's the best way I can be vague about it. It's the same technically as another resource until people realize why it's useful, and then you want it, and then people will discover ways to get it. Victoria had that with oil and coal. Well, like rubber, rubber. You Eric, how rubber shows up, mid game in Victoria. Um, yeah, and then you get oil late game, but oil is so late in the game it doesn't even really matter at that point. But like rubber is really good as far as a comparison conceptually, where yeah, Victoria is very lucky that rubber exists because that's like half the staying power. It's like the only thing that makes me want to keep playing into the mid game of Victoria out of the early game, but I still never do it. I just get to the mid game like once every once in a while. But yeah, I really like the concept of that. Yeah, as the game goes on, new resources are like become known to you as being useful, or resources that already exist suddenly become like, oh, I really want this for something else now. How about dynamic appearance of a powerful scaled rival, like a sunset invasion, but targeted at the player, replacing weak neighbors? Exactly. That's the problem because, as you're saying, could feel bad though. Yeah, because if you have something like that that targets the player, if you get your because there's a lot. There are so many things in my world that we have cooked up over the past couple years for something like that. There's so many different things that could potentially happen where a big old sunset invasion kind of thing would just show up and be a big threat. We very much intend for there to be that is one of the things that will be a motivating factor of a case of like I want to build up over the course of the game, and even though I'm very strong right now, late game I know if I keep playing I'm going to be able to test myself against this huge threat. That's the idea. And there also will be rules for potentially doing things like, oh, this country that has a lot of penalties at the beginning of the game, instead of penalties, it now gets buffs. Try and defeat this very powerful country now. That sort of thing. Modulate on the player's side what they want as far as challenges are concerned. I would set things like, do a toggle on and off the invasion kind of things, and then, let people choose even extra challenges, that sort of thing. Um, think I'm lacking in being able to take a small treaty port as piece of land, establishing a small scale East India Company tag from smaller colonial conquest to facilitate trade and extraction. I mean, you can sort of do that in EU5 from what we've seen. Because like you get Venice and Genoa, for example, who are able to go around and set up like set up trade posts. Basically, they'll take like a tile and you like conquer the market center itself and then like build a bunch of trade posts and stuff and dominate the market that way without needing to actually own the land. Um, like it's not perfect, but the way that merchant republics and such are able to do that helps at least. Players don't like, and yeah, people don't like things that target them because they're the player purely. Enjoy the masochistic disasters of the dwarves and Admiral, lots of setbacks that slay the snowball. See, there you go. See, there's so many different types of players. You can't design something based purely on this is the thing that everyone wants. Because I personally hate the masochistic disasters of the dwarves. I love the scaling of the dwarves, but I despise how targeted it feels at me and how unavoidable it is. I like the Goblin Tide one though because that's a combat one, and it's something that's I don't know. There's something different about being attacked by a scripted invasion than it is for me about having a scripted thing that just like deletes my development and my income and all of that. And it's scripted to happen every time once I get to this strength. And I think as a result of that, it's probably gonna like that's why I say that something I want to do is tie a lot of that sort of thing to rules where I think that when it comes to invasions, for example, I realistically could probably make a rule that where it would require so much testing. It would be a huge pain to get it to work. But the idea would be I'd like to make a rule where you can have an invasion and you'd have the rules for the invasions be like, all right, do the invasions happen at all? If the invasions happen, do the invasions target someone who's strong? Does it just target the tag that's doing the best kind of thing? Or does it just target the player? Because maybe some players would be like, all right, I just want it to exist, and if I am having a really good game, then it targets me. Otherwise, it'll just target whoever's the strongest. That sort of thing could be fun. I don't know, but I just can't. I think EU5 seems to do it. Okay, lots of stuff. One thing you could do is change AI behavior based on players' rank and size. For example, have a lot of smaller lower rank countries form up defensive leagues. But the thing is, if that's the case, those smaller countries will never be stronger than the single large player country. But I do understand. Uh, EU5 is doing a better job of curbing player expansionism. The problem is more so that the AI isn't expanding enough. That's what I've seen. It's more a case of the AI because the AI doesn't know how to use the parliament. And I honestly, at this point, with how much I've heard Playmaker complain about the Parliament, he's turned me against it too, and I'm danger close to making a video that's just me ranting about how the Parliament is bad and either needs to be fixed or removed from the game because it causes the player to be able to expand very easily while the AI can't because it doesn't know how to abuse it for Parliament CBs and war taxes. So I think that's the biggest problem with EU5 in that regard is that the Parliament just stops the AI from being able to do it and expand properly to compete as a result. Hate the Dwarven Disaster is an MP because of how it only targets me as a dwarf. There you that is a very good point. I had a fantastic multiplayer game where I was playing as Verkal Gulen and it was just a great game. I was scaling to the moon and there was a powerful centaur player, for example, and well there was, and I managed to lock down the mountain pass so that he couldn't get into my lands. So I locked down that mountain pass. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hold this forever. He's gonna charge in. It's gonna be great. And then then the horde curse happened, and I was just screwed. Like I just can't do anything now because the horde curse has happened. So my game's over. And then he declared the war and we started fighting, but then we never continued the game. I don't remember why. You know how MPs be. Um, Feels like a natural reaction from the game world. the coalitions as an oppositional thing. Yeah, yeah. I like. Okay, okay. So one thing just capped. They've explained that hegemonies, because hegemonies give you bonuses, sure, they definitely give you bonuses, and they're very nice to have. But they've also explained that hegemonies give you an increase in the amount of antagonism you get. So I think, honestly, I think that the game should lean into that. I think that something that EU5 should lean into is the concept of being a stronger country just innately causes people to have antagonism towards you. I think that the stronger you get comparatively to other people, EU5 should make people just dislike you innately because you're super strong. There should be a case of if you have just become insanely powerful, people are just going to want to be in a coalition against you just for the sake of it because you're strong. It doesn't mean that you can just like you shouldn't be able to at that point if you're insanely strong. Just sit there and be like, all right, I'm gonna just sit here and improve relations, and then people will forget about how angry they are at me. Nah, there's that whole contain hegemony CB for a reason in EU4. That sort of thing should be expanded upon and made a central focus of how you stop a player from becoming too powerful. I That's one thing I can imagine as far as something I could do as a modder for not fucking with the game's natural balance, but still adding something to curb a player, where you get a dynamic disaster that happens when a tag is just doing too well. I don't know how you do it, but I'm sure there's a way you could track it, where somehow you would script it to check how much ahead a certain country is, and if it's too much ahead then of everyone else, then it gets a situation that just exists. There's a situation that exists because of that country where people get to try and fuck with said country because they're doing too well. It's just a global thing. Because that sounds neat. Um, those disasters get partially from the scaling issues of EU4 and EU5. You're limited by pops. Well, the thing with limited by pops in EU5 is that the goblins exist. In EU5, they're most likely in the Serpent Spine just going to be loaded up with millions upon millions of goblins. So if you're playing a dwarf, you'll probably just be able to culturally convert all the goblins, and then you'll still have the pops. The way the Parliament is currently implemented things an overhaul. Heard the sentiment from other early access players. I'm not an early access player. I'm not an early access player, Eric. If I was an early access player of EU5, you'd have seen me doing you'd have seen me bitching about how I can't play my Jewish Andorra run by now. It's effectively what doomed Napoleon. He just couldn't ever get a lasting peace with the other powers and succumbed to endless coalitions. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Um, I like that idea of there just being an innate amount of antagonism from being too powerful. I just modded Pops and Homelands in Vic 3 and Bernard tonight. Activated the Homeland conversions for flavored dwarves for all dwarven tags. Modded Pops and Homelands in Vic 3 and Bernard tonight. Activated the Homelands conversion for flavored dwarves. So, are you on the Vic 3, your Vic 3 and Bernard team? You're not, you're not the guy I met from the team, right? You're someone, let me double check. Okay, you just modded it for yourself a bit. Okay. I'm planning on trying to stream the Vic 3 mod today, and focus on artificery because I focused on dwarves a lot because the dwarves are just really good. I don't know. The dwarves are amazingly powerful and they're really fun, so it's hard not to play the dwarves. Um, but yeah, I mean, realistically, the dwarves should just have that. Yeah, assimilating everyone that is not a dwarf in the Serpent Spine. Yeah. But, hmm. This has been a shocking amount of time just sitting here yapping about this topic. Oh my gosh. Now, when any dwarven tag conquers dwarven homeland, if there are other dwarven pops in the province, they have a yearly chance to convert to the homelands. Sheesh. They need to conscript you to their team. Watch out, or I'll try and conscript you for my EU5 mod. That's how this works, you know. I realistically no, I wouldn't try and get you to join my mod immediately. You see, I'd lure you in like a crab being put in the pot before it's boiling. You see, you turn the water on. See, first I'd ask if you'd like to play with me, and then we'd keep talking and we'd discuss the design philosophies and stuff, and then I'd slowly turn up the heat until you're trapped and you don't even know that you're boiled. Go post that mod in the Discord. Yeah, yeah. But make a sub mod for the Anbanar. Yeah, yeah. Post it as a sub mod for the Anbanar. I'll play with it. You'd fall for that. Also, I Silver. Silver. Yes, Silver. I'm making my throat hoarse. I gotta go grab my courtesy of my girlfriend. She bought me. She's getting me into pop. She bought me a Dr. Pepper and cream soda combination thing. It's actually really good. I don't normally like pop. Watch out! He'll ask you to check out the Discord. It's a trap. Yes. Why don't you stop by my Discord server? Link in the description. We'll play Victory Anbanar when it comes out, and I'm sure I won't try and manipulate you to join my mod team. I would never try and say, oh, if you join the Discord, we can discuss world building and stuff. Never, never. Rasak is well aware. He's seen many fall for the trap. He has been here long. Rasak is a very long time denizen of the forums. I swear, the man is probably like every 5 minutes on YouTube refreshing, just being like, like, if Rasak doesn't just have a YouTube tab open that says, where he has typed in the search bar, EU5 within the last day, and then just refresh. If he's not doing that, like every 5 minutes, I don't know how the hell he does it, because I see him literally every single time there's content about EU5. I see him and Eric to a lesser extent, but Rasak everywhere. He's always there. The issue with being drafted for one mod is that you get recruited for others very quickly after. Indeed, it is the trouble. Even I, as someone who, I'm running my own team now. It's hard for me to resist the call to just dabble in other projects. It's too dangerous, indeed. Clearly, the only way to solve this is to just block all communication between every mod team. Yes, we must, no, not block communication. It must instead be, we must set the law for all the ideological union of the EU5 mod teams must be set. They need to have creative legislature and be set to migration restriction, so you don't get too many people moving back and forth. Join the Hearts of Iron UWTS team. I don't know. Okay, I don't play Hearts of Iron, so I don't know what those acronyms mean. Invest in chains. I should, honestly, Eric. I should invest in chains. I do, because there's a couple people I know that they're so good. They're on my team and they're really good, but I know that they're just really wholesome people, so they'll do stuff for other teams as well if I don't lock them down. I gotta bind them up real quick. Need a basement to hide mod developers in? That's true. See, if I hide them in a basement and don't give them access to the internet, and I just send them new code every once in a while to work on, then that's the correct way, I think. Yeah. Up with the Stars and the Union Forever. The U.S. rework submod for Kaiserreich and the New Order. Oh my goodness. You got recruited for not even the mods themselves, the submods. Jeez. What the? What the? I assume there's stuff just related to the civil wars and that. I do know that that's the main thing I know is that in both of those mods the U.S. has just a ridiculous amount of civil wars. All right, let's get on to some of these responses. Subcontinents, regions, area, provinces, system hard coded, or can we mod it so new levels in between of them, subregions? Markets, raw materials, religions, court language, dialects, languages, families. They're just not showing us the regions in like continents maps, which is kind of sad. I really want to see that so I can get an idea for how large they are. Could you share a political map of each subcontinent? Yeah, there's the political map that y'all were talking about. No adding new layers. Well, not adding new tiers, I guess, because you've got like location, province, area, region, and then continent. So you've got the so it cuts off at like you've got the region of France, I guess. You've probably got the region of France and then the continent of Europe, but you can't have the region of Central Europe and the region of Western Europe and East, for example. I think that's what it means. No subcontinents. Well, I don't think so. Didn't sound like it. Well, of the subcontinents, at least Europe has. Oh, well, they do say subcontinents. Okay. Subcontinents, regions, areas, provinces, locations. So you get locations. You get the location of Paris in the province of Ile-de-France, and then the area of I don't know, whatever the fuck. And then the region of France, and then the subcontinent. The subcontinent. I don't know. Subcontinent probably is not like the subcontinent of Western Europe. Enjoy how the HRE. So, yeah. The thing that scares me though, because we do have a fantastically nightmarish HRE, and I can only promise to do my best in regards to making something even worse. But the thing, uh, that people keep saying that it's really whack. So I guess it's like barely functioning, which is sad. It does scare me a bit that people say that it's that the HRE is really whack. So I don't know what that means. They're not explaining. No one's played the HRE. No one's like talked about what it's like to play as it. I don't think at least like people will play in it, but they won't talk about what it's like to run the place. But yeah, it does. I do think it would be a lot of fun, and you know the it's the the most the most population dense region of my setting is the HRE. The equivalent of the HRE for my setting is the most pop dense region. So you have, comparatively to the rest of the map, more pops there. And and they're all really small tags. Beautiful. Canem is probably going to be so ass to play. Like, how the hell do you play the Canem Empire? It's like I mean you've got dies, but like what are you actually going to make much money as Canem selling your alum up to North Africa? Really? Yeah. And then like if you want to expand up there, I don't know how you even accomplish that. If you unfocus your eyes, the HRE looks like an old school McDonald's playground floor. Alright. I need to return. I need to return to long ago. A different time, a different Joffrey. Yes, I can see the McDonald's play place. I can see it. I can see all the tunnels and slides. It's there. But you know what I can also see is I can see the NVIDIA capture card in the top right corner of the screen. Oh, that's right. I completely forgot. We were talking earlier about the whole notion of the trade winds, but that there they are. That's where you get they show them just on the normal map, the trade winds as arrows. So that's kind of neat. I don't know if I'll like it when I'm actually playing it. I mean, it's useful, but I don't know whether or not I'm gonna like it. But surely this means that since the trade winds go this way, that means that the Congo is the superior colonial power, right? Surely this means that the Congo is the only true colonizer of the Brazil, right? Yeah, I think so. Oh, all my homies love Demont being on the map still. Yay! Just so many independent Nepalese tags. Jesus. Also, the Ashikaga don't have any lands on the northern island. The Ainu are just completely by themselves. Huh. Interesting. There we go. Cahokia, my beloved. Love me. Love me, Cahokia and Iroquois. I mean, all three of these are going to be just wild playthroughs. I just, all three of these regions, I don't know. But apparently, I think they said that they made the Iroquois have like an international organization, which is just wild to me. I think they said that they have an international organization that you can use to try and unite them diplomatically. EU4 1.0, yeah. Oh my goodness. The native country of A. What about OO? Ooh. Ooh. That's my favorite native tag. Right there. Ooh. Realistically, though, you just pick the one with the best color. Which, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know. What's the best color here? I don't think Cahokia is my favorite color here. What's the best color? Hmm. Because, I mean, down here, the Purapecha are my favorite color down here, probably. But up here, that green's too limey. A lot of these colors are a little too faded. Eh. Purple OPM. This one, I mean that purple? Is that purple? I don't know if that's purple. It's like the burgundy colored ones. Kind of like the I kind of like the burgundy colored one there. Uh, I'd like if there. I want a green one. That's what's missing here. You need a deep like jungle green colored tag here. That's what this region's missing. Yeah. Notice the towns map they show that they cut of Central America. Yeah, they show there's towns in Central America, towns and cities. You could see that. Not all of it, but you could see some of it, like the Mayans. But like you could see up to Cahokia enough to see that Cahokia itself is a town. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of towns. There's probably even a couple cities. American Native Challenge seems great. Hard to find a more build up start, but we'll see how it plays. Yeah. OMG. No, there's no playable Blackfoot. I don't. Yeah, Hot Pocket. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Ah! Hard to find. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I just missed them. They left. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. um. Hmm. The problem with North America. Okay, okay, Rasak. Where do you think you would play, or just you guys in general? Where do you think y'all would play as a Native American tag? Would you play as a North, Central, or South American native tag? And because I think I have my answer, which is the one that I would play. Strong feeling of play the game, then feel overwhelming urge to make a balance mod, tinker for a week, and then quit. Yeah, fair enough. Mesoamerica, Central America. Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Maybe the Inca. You just said without a doubt! Natan, you just said without a doubt Central America, and then you say the Inca. What is this? What is this? What? Without a doubt, Mesoamerica, unquestionably. And then 5 seconds later, maybe the Inca though. Maybe though. Pretty much just the Aztec and maybe the Maya. The Aztec and Mayan lands. North of less scaling before the EU arrives, but also get contact later. First, Iroquois. Speed 5. Yeah. Alright. So for me, alright. And I see, yeah, you've got the interesting One Republic country. Okay, the One Republic country's like here, I think. It's somewhere in like North Mesoamerica. So that's reason enough to play there as is, because that's just hilarious. That's that's reason enough for me to be like, all right, just play there, because you got to play the one Native American republic, because it's hilarious. But for me, the reason, see, I would love to play as a challenge the North American ones, but the North American ones just they're going to be so terrible for two reasons. The two reasons these guys are going to be terrible. Actually, there's three. This is just horrible. Because North America, all right, reason number one, there's no one up there. No one lives here. This place is empty. There are like 5 people in the entirety of North America, and you can see all of them here. But yeah, I mean pop numbers. The pop numbers are incredibly low, so you can't do shit. You will have no pops, and then the Europeans will show up, and 80% of those nothing will disappear. You will have less than nothing at that point, and your game is done. You're screwed. It's over. You get nothing. You lose. But hey, someone will make it work, and that'll be fun to see. So that's the first problem. Problem number 2, there are no tags here. There's nowhere to expand into. The only other tags here are societies of pops. And from what we've seen, it really looks like they've stopped societies of pops from being able to settle for the moment. So at least on release, you're not even going to be able to conquer those societies of pops as they settle down and expand. So you're not going to be able to play as Cahokia and just conquer all the people around you and become very wide to help make up for your lack of population density. That's problem number 2. You're going to show up, the Europeans are going to blob all over the coast, you ain't going to do anything, you're going to be very slowly colonizing around the place, but then why are you even colonizing? Because of problem number 3. The other reason you're freaking toast. Because the resources are useless. North America has nothing. There is not a single useful thing in the entirety of North America except for furs. But you got so much goddamn furs, what are you even doing with them? The only thing that's useful about Cahokia, even remotely, is the fact that Cahokia is on the Mississippi. But whoop-de-fucking-do for being on the Mississippi and actually having useful land for having population, because even though you can actually support a population, you don't have one. And the people who actually do have a population actually have good resources. Because down here in Central America, you have tons of different tags, tons of resources. You've got gold, you've got silver, you've got gems, you've got pearls, you've got everything you need to make tons of jewelry. You can make weapons because they've got a unique ability to make weapons with gems, so you can make actual weapons, and you can make I'm sure you can make alcohol too and all the stuff you need to explore and colonize. You could probably play as the Aztecs and actually conquer the whole area and then start to actually reasonably colonize north and south and then actually have a very wide realm by the time any Europeans are showing up. So even when you lose 80% of your pops, you'll theoretically have enough to hopefully hold them back, because by the time they're first showing up, they will still not have very strong professional armies. So you will hopefully still have enough time to build up, and I doubt it'll actually be the worst thing. It'll be difficult, but not impossible. The tag of Mams, yeah. If I want to pull my hair out, one of the North American tribes in the West, yeah, the Pueblo in the West, where it's arid too. You're on an arid plateau. So what are you even doing here? You've got no pops and no pop capacity either. You ain't got shit. Pro tip: migrate back to Siberia. Exactly. Best thing to do as a Native American tribe: go back over to Kamchatka, pack up your bags and head back. Until you get more interactions with the Societies of Pops, North American gameplay isn't going to be engaging. But you can still interact with them. You can subjugate them. You can ally them. They will be involved in stuff, and you're going to want to fight them for control over populations and stuff. The problem is that they won't settle. EU4 natives had more content in the US and Canada outside. The thing with, at least the Iroquois get conquered faster. Yes, this is the Iroquois. You could get conquered and lose the game faster. Yeah. But the thing with EU4 natives is that they've just ruined the colonial game. Is with ever since Leviathan, they just ruined how colonialism works. So no one actually has to colonize anything. You just show up and the natives already own everything. Then you can't colonize owned locations in EU4. So you just have to conquer them, and then the culture never gets converted, and you just get all that land for free. It's really, really wrong. You're describing exactly why it's Speed 5 gameplay. I just want to know if there's a snowball's chance in hell I can make it work. I'm pretty sure you can make Central America work. I'm sure you can. I mean, we've seen someone try and then fail to do it, but that's with the catch that I don't think, because I think who was it? I think it was also Playmaker who was playing Central America. I'm pretty sure he attacked. Like he kind of just like screwed himself over because he didn't know enough about how it works, because he thought he could attack the colony without the Overlord getting involved like you can in EU4. But in this game, realistically, what he should have done was just keep scaling. Because like it's a case of you don't just instantly attack the Europeans when they show up, because you're going to lose, because you lose all your pops. What you got to do when the Europeans show up is just steal all of the tech. You got to steal all the tech and then scale off of that. Don't fight them. Fight them later. Just sit there and continue to build up and recover from the problems you're going to be facing. That's what he should have done. Last message was in reference to North America. Oh, okay, yeah. Reference to North America. Well, yeah, I'm sure that plenty of us, myself included, are going to have to give it a try. It's part of the fun. You got to try doing the ridiculous, difficult thing, right? You can war the Societies of Pops. Yeah, you can declare war on Societies of Pops to force their pops to join you. Realistically, yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of, like, if you're playing as a North American native, you're going to be colonizing. So you colonize new land, and then once you get that land, most of the pops, okay, not most, but a lot of the pops there are just going to be controlled by the Societies of Pops. So then you'll have to attack them to get the pops under your control, and that's going to be a lot of the gameplay loop. Yeah. Steal the horse and the tech, and then Comanche your way to success. Indeed, indubitably, that would be the play. Though I don't think. Okay. This is something. All right. For any of y'all who have seen Playmaker's Muscovy video, he did his Muscovy a little AAR, and in that video, one thing he said was that he thinks that as the game goes on, you just don't want to recruit anything other than infantry units. Yeah, he is saying that you basically only want to recruit infantry because infantry have more men per regiment. But that confuses me, because supposedly there's a bunch of reasons you want Supposedly there's a bunch of reasons you want those regiments that aren't infantry other than just the numbers, right? Because sure, you have less dudes per cavalry regiment, but the whole point of them. So it's like EU4, but well, no, I don't think so. I don't think that it's like EU4 in that way. Because yeah, in EU4 you realistically don't even really want cav unless you're a cav nation. But in EU5, he's claiming you don't even really want you don't even really want cannons. He's claiming, um, because you just load up on more infantry. But this all sounds so ridiculous to me because you get because they've explained things like he says a lot of things that turn out to not be mechanically true. It's true. He doesn't because he's learning a lot about the game, but he still doesn't know everything, and it gets proven when he doesn't even he didn't know what a society of pop was, which was really funny. I love it gets so frustrating, but I love him. He's a great dude, but it's so frustrating sometimes when he doesn't know stuff, and it's like he has the game. How does he not know this? But yeah, he does say a lot of things that doesn't end up being mechanically true. Because realistically, I imagine like how could it be possible you wouldn't want like cannons and horses? Because horses get engaged in the fight the quickest. Yeah, cavalry gets engaged in the fight the quickest, so they start dealing that damage, and they're very effective for the number of troops they are. And then cannons are the very first. Before anything happens, cannons initiate combat. That sounds amazing. And also they help with sieges and stuff. Sounds perfect. Listen to his AAR where he moved his capital inwards of Sweden before he learned about the light ship meta. Yeah. Ramble Mo. Ever since I saw the Denmark one, like, listen, Denmark is a terrible start. It's going to be absolutely horrendous trying to play as Denmark initially, but they have those. Any of y'all who've seen what Denmark gets, they get that incredible amount of bonus to maritime presence. They get a huge bonus to maritime presence as Denmark and um, proximity cost over water, which is fantastic for Scandinavia. So I'm confident that if you play as Denmark, you could unite Scandinavia and get a really solid grip on the whole Baltic, which at that point could actually be pretty useful. Talked with generalist and then understood boats midstream. Yeah, yeah. The I think I'm a Diplo enjoyer. I'm probably going to be going Diplo focus most of the time as opposed to admin or military. So yeah, I'm going to be focusing on the maritime aspect of stuff a lot. Maritime and vassals a lot. Yeah. Hope we can go Norse as well. Denmark will take longer to front. Scandinavia could be stronger, and then hope we can go Norse as well. Well, the thing is, the only places we've seen. Oops, just turned off my mouse sensitivity. Tinto maps Scandinavia feedback. The only thing we've seen. Stop making noise, phone. I don't care about the Steam Autumn sale. We've only seen in Scandinavia cultures, language. Oh, that's going to be the year. There we go. We've only seen the only places with a even like remotely notable population of Norse faith is Sweden and Norway. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be really feasible as Denmark. And even as like Sweden and Norway, there's just not going to be enough because you need if they're in your religious family, you can just press convert to them anytime. But since you're Catholic, they're not in your religious family, so you need to have like 40% of your pops follow that religion. So I don't know how the heck you'd convert to it. I'm not sure what you'd be able to do with game mechanics to make it happen. I think that would be my one piece of advice. Don't go into the game expecting EU4. He's probably just doom stacking the AI, not you make it. That's true. That's true, Rasak. Because most people keep talking about how like yeah, as the game goes on, as the game goes on, you just have more professional troops than the AI, and they just won't recruit more. So you just overwhelm them, and at that point, yeah, you wouldn't be able to notice because you just win anyway. Yeah. I found an AR with a guy who didn't fully understand the mechanics but took the time to learn, probably reflects a more casual experience. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. It doesn't mean it isn't frustrating when someone's so confidently wrong and stuff, but hey, you got to learn somehow. I'm not expecting people to know how the game works immediately. I certainly won't. I don't know how you get those rebels to work, but maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Azrael's talking about Playmaker. He's the main guy who's been just tossing out tons of AARs, so makes sense as being the one that they're referring to me. Mm-hmm. Subcontinents, continents. We made a final test of the Iberian Holy Orders, and we noticed that the quality of their gameplay was not good enough for release. As we scoped them, we didn't have the time and resources to make them work as they should, up to our standards of quality. We've commented them out from setup, and the Iberian countries are getting some resources from their stronghold and commandery buildings instead. It's a harsh decision, but sometimes you need to take them when you're wrapping up for a big release. Our current plan is to revamp them and make them playable again next year with the free patch that will come with the Across the Pillars DLC. Oh. Oh, of course, because the Across the Pillars DLC is going to be the first one. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I agree with that. That's a good choice, and it's also, of course, a classic W post from Matt for always asking the right questions. But I hearts to that. Lithuania is looking like the strongest choice for a pagan playthrough, so if you can convert from the same group, you might be able to be Norse Lithuania. That's a good question. Um, I somewhat doubt that they're in the same religious group, though. I imagine that it's always possible that they could both just be like Baltic. They could just be in the like together in a Baltic folk religions group. I doubt that's going to be the case, but okay, well, screw it. I there's a very easy way to find this out. There is a very easy way that they just did culture and religion. Where's yeah Hindu religious group? Did they not? I swear they did a map of religious groups. Huh. I swore they did a map. They showed a map of religious groups, but I guess they didn't. That's a shame. If you want to play Norse, release a vassal and swapping to them and then converting. Well, no. The problem, Rasak, is that there's no tiles on the map that are Norse. So yeah, there's not enough pops. You would release that tile as a subject, and that subject's religion would just be Catholic because there's not enough Norse pops. It would not be the main religion of that area. The accidental hills in Denmark. No map mode for culture groups. Yeah, that makes sense because cultures can be parts of multiple groups. Make the visualization quite decentralized Mali into several subjects. No. Oh. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God, Molly. Oh, you poor majestic creature. That's why you need to be smaller and then have some events or something. It's gonna be a way. The inevitable Norse achievement demands it, yes. Yes, there will be a way, I'm sure. But yeah, the Molly dream. Oh, this is this is painful. The tragic thing about this too is yeah, Molly's gonna have their disaster. You're gonna have the disaster as Molly that causes your empire to collapse. So they've already split up the different tags. They already have the different tags split up as vassals. They're just gonna break free of you. Oh no. Cultures. Mm. Oh yeah, because language families are similar. Language families are similar to a culture group, I guess. Iberian and Pyrenean. Jeez. Sheesh. Yeah, you're right. The player will be fine. Amazi and Maghrebi or Arabic and Maghrebi. Jeez. Hellenic. Huh. Pyrenean and French. French and Swiss. German and Swiss. Oh God, why are the Swiss split in two? No. Albania having no language group. It just does not exist. They simply do not exist. It is just Albania. No one fucking knows. No, Albania is here. No one has any idea. They just are there, guys. I don't know. We can't explain it. They're an anomaly. Great unknown. Hmm. To be the Illyrian group? Well, at that point, if they're the Illyrian group, then they'd be lumped into like it would be Slavic. It would be South Slavic and Illyrian or some shit. How does it look? Well, we're currently laughing at the fact that the Albanian culture does not have a language group like everyone else's culture groups. Even the Basques have a culture group, but the Albanians just don't. The Albanians are not similar to literally anyone. Albania is just yeah, that's what we're talking about right now, Rain. Albania is an anomaly unto its own self. Hmm. Oh my gosh, Matt, for coming in with the steel chair and being like, this map needs to be revisited. Here's a list of ranks that should be changed. Trebizond should be an empire. Cilicia was a kingdom. Lithuania was a grand duchy and should be considered a kingdom tier. Why is Mantua a duchy? Albania was a kingdom. Arboria was a even Arboria. Oh my god. Why are only a handful of Beyliks considered duchies? Candia should be a duchy. Oh my god, this is great. Halych and Valenia should be duchies and taken separately. Oh, Muscovy, Breezer named to Moscow, was still a principality. Vladimir is a grand principality. Achaia was a principality. Albania should be a kingdom. Screw Albania. I mean, it says that, yeah, but empire, really. I mean, they're saying Albania should be a kingdom. Uh, oh my gosh. The Maldives. The Sultanate of the Maldives and the great kingdom of those islands. Oh God. It's larger than all of Earth. Yes, the Albania was gracious and shared some of their land with the rest of the world. A new tier above Empire just for Albania. They shall be a hegemony. The hegemony tier, yes. Bohemia and Poland aren't at war at game start. The remaining half be in place for the tint of flavor. Hmm. Thank you for the kind words. The dangers, disaster. Yeah, yeah. Yes, zoomed in cultures of the Middle East. Oh my God. Do not look. Do not look at the culture map of Asia. Do not. Avert your eyes from the map, the culture map of Asia. Ah. Yeah, I think they did say the hegemonies exist. I know that. I mean, they exist in Victoria, and soon they'll exist in CK3. Jarvis, show me the Anatolia map. I'm not Joffrey, I'm Jarvis now. No. You actually have a couple different interestingly there's a couple different types of Greek cultures because you have the main Greek culture that's on the western side of Anatolia, but you get the Pontic Greeks in the northeast around Trebizond, and then you actually have a culture that's called like Anatolian, I think. There's just Anatolian culture for the Anatolian Greeks specifically, which is wild that that's its own thing too. I don't know what you do as them. I mean, they're not exactly a tag, but yeah. I want to play a Syriac. I want to play a Syriac and then unite or Arabia as the Syriacs or Mesopotamia rather. Think EU5 is going to be fun with these cultures? Yeah, it's going to be so fun to consolidate them. Yeah. Just like, I'm gonna have so much fun consolidating everything into Ruthenian culture. It's gonna be amazing. I cannot wait. Syriac Arabia, Syriac everything. Yeah, everything Mongolian. Mongolian is gonna be wild, dude. Because like you can even see like you can look at Nogai, Astrakhan, all of these places have large minorities of Mongolian cultures. There's so many tags with my Mongolian as its primary culture. I actually really would love to do the Ilkhanate. I really want to try and reform the Ilkhanate. That's going to be something I expect will be a lot of fun. The Kurds having more than a single province. Yeah, this is unrealistic. What is this? Why are there like actual Kurds? What? There's actual Kurdish pops and Armenians? This is weird, guys. I don't understand it. That many Armenians and Kurds? That's just ridiculous. Nowhere near enough Turks. Why are there so few Turks? I'm so confused. Play the cantons and remove Mongol influence. Yeah. Uh, Georgia will be a feasible country. I could definitely see Georgia being a fun time. misspelled everything. Some culture that got wiped IRL and then make them successful. Yeah, yeah. I think that one thing that I'm really gonna want to try and make like restoring kicking the Germanics out of the British Isles into a thing. I'm really gonna want to be like Scotland, play as Scotland, turn into Alba by educating the kid to be Gaelic, and then conquer Ireland, and then defeat the English. All that stuff. Like basically the what like that sort of thing is some of like the only stuff that I actually find fun in vanilla EU4 is just playing as a really small country. Yeah, playing as like the Scots and then uniting the British Isles. I'm just so sad that Great Britain's flag is so similar when you're a Gael. I want to unite Great Britain as a Celtic culture, and have it be like a different name and a different flag entirely. Still doing the Native American run first playthrough, and you have to do Andorra. Yep, Andorra. I've got to do Andorra. I got to play Andorra and then convert to Waldensian or something. The Great Waldensian Theocracy. Oh yeah, that's true. Celtica exists. Goddamn Celtica. Oh, superior formable. Dynastic. Andorra into Great Britain. Oh, someone needs to get a hold of you, Eric. Oh, geez, this stream has been going on a long, long time. Yeah, the flag talk could be fun. But I gotta wrap this up soon so I can eat something and then start playing Vic 3 Anbanar. This has been going on too long. Thank you. Yeah, great work. Potential bad mechanic. Building base country in Jerusalem. Yeah, it's the Bardi, right? Yeah, the Bardi have all sorts of banks all over the place. But interestingly, the it's curious. The Knights Hospitaller have two banking families on their island. Look at the Peruzzi and Bardi. One Mesoamerican republic into the Dutch. What is happening? What is happening? Oh, the dialect map. Based, based Ukrainian dialect. Yes, beautiful. This is how it must be. It must remain the larger, as opposed to the Moscow. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Just being able to play Ambinar at a stable frame rate because your good PC broke. Yeah, it's not exactly an easy to run mod if you don't have a good computer. Francocratia.png? That's cringe. Oh, they're. I see. Because they're just showing the core languages of the people down here. Makes sense. I didn't even think about Cilicia. Because yeah, they've talked multiple times about it. I definitely got to do a Cilicia run. Anyone in like the general Thunderdome of Anatolia and the Balkans and stuff is going to be a banger game, isn't it? EU4 Anbanar is too bloated. Too bloated, as in it's too performance heavy or something. What's the thing that's bloated? This game ain't gonna run. I highly doubt that this game's gonna be any easier performance wise on you. Too many tags and calculations. Yeah, they do have a ton of subsystems going on. So yes, the Knights Anatolia. I am a big Hospitaller enjoyer, so I'll definitely be conquering Anatolia as the Knights. Got to get that discipline up. This is true. Clausewitz is a notoriously crappy engine, and it's not exactly something I'm pleased about that they still haven't replaced it for this game. My complaint, Rain, yeah, Rain, my complaint with Parliament is not that everyone gets it, because I like the concept of it. I like the concept of it the same way that everyone with estates gets to call the Diet. Mind you, Native Americans can't call the Diet until they become a settled tag. But I like the concept of it. I just don't like the fact that the AI doesn't know how to use it. So it's just a humongous buff for the player because it makes the player able to get CBs and then the player will declare more wars and then they can raise war taxes. And I'm probably going to have to make a video where I just rant about it because I keep thinking about it and then we talk about it on streams and it's just it needs to be discussed. Oh, does it really run on only one core? I completely forgot. It runs on more of the cores now? Okay. Okay. If that's true, that's good. Okay, okay. Because yeah, I have no fucking clue how EU5 would run on a single core. Okay. If you like it once you play with it, just sounds weird. But yeah, yeah, I do think that the parliament should be renamed depending on what your tag is. Like depending on what your country's situation is, you should not necessarily be called a parliament. There should be different dynamic localization for it. From what I can glean, it's not so much the engine, but how PDX implements their calculations. They just don't write performance code. Victoria 3 uses all my cores on a 6 core. Okay, okay. Well, that would explain. Okay, okay, Silver. That would explain why Victoria 3 runs. I don't know how it would if it wasn't. Yeah, and yes, I dislike the way that Parliament is named, right? I do think that it should be renamed depending on what your country is. If you're a country that realistically has a parliament, then it could be called that. Otherwise, there's all sorts of names for it, like the General Estates, the Estates General for France. Once they actually get an Estates General, yeah, it's like Noble Council, anything like literally just call it, yeah, a council debate, anything like that. And yes, the minigame does inherently favor the player because the AI won't make the choices, and because there's some that just objectively favor the player, like that they're just really good for expanding and stuff, the player will just pick those and use it. Now the thing is, so because of like how broken the parliament is, it's one of those things, and I gotta just wrap this up soon. I don't know. I keep yapping, but one thing in relation to the parliament, it's spurred on. It's something that my team and my mod team and I keep having to debate this topic now, where we just don't know what to do in regards to. And yeah, I need some food. Then I gotta play Vic 3 Ambinar. Um, the my team and I for our well, while we're planning our or like design philosophy for EU5, we struggle with this sometimes where we look at like the problems that EU5 has in some regards and like mainly stuff like the parliament. the parliament exists and we can see the problems with it, and it becomes a case of, well, like, do we want to rebalance it? Do we want to make it a thing that's like our mod is rebalancing it, even though like we're already a total conversion mod? And that sort of design philosophy stuff gets real complicated and tough to think about sometimes. Yeah. What is it we're trying to do? Kind of thing. Like, yeah. Societies of Pops. Yeah, Societies of Pops are not playable at the start of the game. Step hordes are army-based countries. Army-based country can own locations, but its existence is reliant on its armies. If those are destroyed, then the country collapses. Yeah, step hordes, no CB cost, minus 50%. Cheaper to downgrade settlements, cheaper boar score cost, amount looted, perverts court language to be common language. Horde unity change and ruler death. This is going to be such an EU4 gameplay. Like, that. This is just like, that is just normal EU4 gameplay. You just play a step horde and you just, like, alright. Time to... Time to just declare war for no reason on everyone. Yeah, Rye Pie Eye, which is some great alliteration. I'm making a, yeah, it's a new fantasy setting thing. A bunch of folks on my Discord server and I have been world building stuff for a couple years now. It's a, you know, take everyone's passion stuff you world build as a kid. So like take everyone's stuff from years ago and then like bring it up to speed, put it together, and make a fantasy setting specifically for EU5. You know, everyone wants to try and replicate what Anbanar did. We're no different. So, if you want to check out what we've been talking about, you can find my link in the description. You can join the Discord server, and we have a role selection bot thing where you can click on the role selection bot, and it'll give you access to the kitchen where we cook. We don't yet have a server specifically for the mod yet, but once the mod is officially announced, which I'm just waiting on a little bit more stuff. There's just a little bit, specifically the main icon. I'm waiting. My girlfriend is she's very good at drawing. She's drawing the main icon for the mod, and once that is finished, I'll make a video to officially announce it, and then we shall have a Discord for the actual building of the mod. And you continue to refuse to join. Yes, this is known as real. Yes. Go-to example for how their coding is shit is how they rendered every icon in the Vic3 construction queue individually with animations. Every icon on the Vic3 construction queue individually with animations. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, what? Every single one individually with animations. Jeez. I'm trying to imagine that does sound like it would be very performance heavy. But Oh, yeah, Parliament working differently in republics would also be very cool, but that's the sort of thing I could imagine them expanding on later on. Yeah, the construction queue in the top right, where the queue shows up in the top right, and you get all the different little icons added to it. The French and Netherlands groups. And yes, Rain. There was a there was a dev diary about colonial nation revolts that will happen late game. Yeah. Every icon would be in the memory and animated with a progress bar. No! Oh no! They animated a progress bar and an animation for that for each thing in the queue, even the ones that aren't being worked on at the moment? Oh, no wonder. That's horrendous. Jesus. Now that only happens late game if you, once you've gotten to like 1,000 construction. Oh my goodness, Rai joined the server. Ooh, he joined the server. What a lad. You shall be in approximately 10 seconds you shall there's a few people that are probably going to send you welcome messages and see if they can scare you off. Think they do similar things in all their menus, but most people don't notice because they have fast computers. I'm scared then, Ramblemore, to see once we hopefully soon we'll get to see more content creator gameplay, and we'll get to see what the more of what it looks like once you're building a ton of stuff at once. Because I think the construction stuff, because you see it just like on the map in front of you with a spinning circle. So theoretically, that means that you'd get an animation of like that circle filling up for every single tile that is having something being built in it. Yeah. So like as the game goes on, you build more construction in your cities. Theoretically, in the later game, you're gonna have just absolute loads of stuff being built at a time, and each one of those things that's being built simultaneously will have its own little circle. Change the mod dev tag to be a ball and chain in Discord. Currently we don't have a tag specifically for the developers yet. We're saving because we're saving the Discord roles for people on the mod team for once we actually make the proper server for the mod project itself. As of now, we want to make sure that we keep separate the YouTube community Discord from the mods community Discord. You don't want those two things to be crossed up too much because people who are a moderator on one aren't necessarily going to be a developer or moderator on the other as a result of that. They're inevitably, if the mod does actually go anywhere, become different spheres. Oh, no, yeah, Undertale was unoptimized, but it's a very small game with not a whole lot going on. Um, I don't even want to think about Minecraft's code and how that works. That's a bunch of wires all. Minecraft's code, I always imagine, based on what I've heard of Minecraft's code, that it looks like someone taking an octopus, like a wall plug-in extender, where you get like your 8 additional outlets. You plug that into the wall, and then you plug another one into that, and then you plug a bunch of cords into that, and then connect it to another extender. And you just keep connecting extenders. Uh, Not a programmer, but you're autistic enough to know how all these programming concepts, and your PC is slow enough to notice all the bottlenecks. Well, I'm not a programmer. I just mod stuff. I've got a friend who is autistic enough to know a ton about how computers work, and he always complains to me because I don't do stuff very well with my computer, and it's going to blow up eventually. I'll remember to eat. Okay. Yes, Mom. And CK3, what killed the performance was the first. Oh yeah, the Dynasty tree. Ugh. Anyone who's played Agot will know the pain. Agot or Realms in Exile. If you play Realms in Exile, until like a year ago in Realms in Exile, you could open up the like Gondorian Dynasty tree, and you would see all the way back, uninterrupted, to the first king of Numenor, all with its sprawling dynasties, and it would just boom, your game would just break. But you know, I was still working on the Realms in Exile team when there was a huge internal debate. I was on side of keep the tree all connected. Keep it all connected. It took so long for me and the rest of the devs to eventually relent and be like, you know what? We need to break up the dynasty. And eventually they finally broke it up so that at Isildur and Anarion, they finally split it up. So it was a separate dynasty. Very sad stuff. Everyone lagged on the dynasty tree, even top-end computers. Yeah, yeah. Uh, it's gonna what's also gonna really suck for me as a modder is trying to get like 3D models for all those different EU5. Like whenever I'm trying to have a different race get its own unique model in EU5, that's gonna be hellish. I'm either gonna need to a lot of the time I'm probably either gonna need to ask other people for them or just put 2D images in. But then the problem with that is that the 2D images will look like ass in the 3D space, like they do in Realms of Exeter. It just does not look right. Realms of Exeter for Vic 3. And then the problem is that when it comes to getting 3D models from someone else, most of the races in my mod are unique. The only ones from the traditional, like you've got dwarves and elves. Dwarves and elves are the only traditional fantasy races other than humans. You got humans, dwarves, elves. Those three. Everything else is made up by us. We like actually there's kind of a dragonborn-y one. There's kind of a dragonborn-y race, but not like it's different. But they're draconic enough you could realistically use the someone else's dragon model if they made one. Yeah. Eh. Copy unit model code. The unit models are the least important. Don't render hundreds of 3D models at full scale. Yeah. Yeah. 2D picture. Oh, here's Vector. Yeah. 10 quintil. Hello, Vector. 10 quintillion dollars to 3D modelers for commissions. Yeah, I mean, how else are we gonna get the Bugman? How else are we gonna get the Bugman modeled in? Heaven forbid. How are we gonna get someone to like? I say we. It's gonna be me. How am I gonna get like someone to help me like get models in for the rocks? Frickin' rock. The Lithrati are gonna just look like normal humans forever. Ugh. In Vicky 3, you can barely open the list of global companies. Yeah. Did a big multiplayer. We were having a mega campaign. We were having a mega campaign on my Discord server, and the game just exploded whenever someone would open the global list of companies. You passed the captcha on my server? Okay, I can take a guess who gave you the captcha. That's probably Eden. Imagine seeing a little goblin horde on the map. Yeah, well, there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? I mean, I don't have goblins, but we've got other people to replace the goblins with for hordes, yeah. Is there an eldritch race from the depths of space? Not the depths of space, but the depths of other stuff, I guess. Yeah. There's eldritch stuff going on, I guess. There are humans good? Yes, there are humans, yes. Yes, these look like humans, but they're actually X. No, no. Vector, don't say it like that, or you'll make it true. Yes. These models, they may look like they're just a pale human, but they actually are supposed to be this. The short the fucking Vector the Melanesian race basically the race that's basically just like small like dwarf slash like halfling slash goblin Melanesian dudes are gonna be like a lifesaver for the fact that there's so many of them and they're gonna be really easy to just make because you just make them small. Make them small, give them blonde hair and dark skin, and there you go. That's all you need. No 3D models required. Need a humanoid rock people model that works with existing weapons and armor models. Easy. Okay. Well, Risak, they're not. They look like they're humanoids, but they just have rocks on them in some places.
Like they got rocks growing out of them. It's realistically would just be like a clothing model, I imagine. Wouldn't be that bad. Don't understand why they leave shit like that in the game. Barely. Yeah. Oh, like the companies, you mean? Yeah. The companies are just. Yeah. So no real reason thinking of how a robot would function in an army in EU5. Thought instead of manpower naturally going up, you need to get a proper metals to build manpower. Well, that's kind of what you get in Vic 3 Anbanar. Because in Vic 3 Anbanar, you have the in Vic 3 Anbanar, you get the automatories, and you can let you build the mechanism. And I haven't played around with it yet. It's scary. I'm too scared to try and delve into that system, and it's not finished yet. So I'm really like scared to test it out. But some of my friends have played with it, and yeah, apparently it works more or less. But yeah. In that case, you literally can just construct pops. So it's a thing that exists. I've got one friend who is playing as dwarves, and he was having trouble with the fact that the whole serpent spine is goblins, and they don't accepted pops. But then he just decided, well, it's okay. Instead of needing the goblins to work, and since we don't accept them, we'll just manufacture a bunch of mechanim. And then the mechanim revolted, but yeah. Yeah, they're talking about how much farmland. Okay, this is this. All right. One thing. Listen. Like Vector. I know, Vector. You're one of the people who is saying like we can't change the vanilla balance of the game. You don't want it to change much. Farmlands. This shit's gotta go. This shit's gotta go. That's something that needs to happen. This is bad. Farmlands tiles are bad. if if we kept the farmlands tile, I would rename it and retool the effects, and it would function differently, and it would just be for tiles that have especially fertile soils. That is how I would keep it if I need to keep it. Just rename it to fertile land instead of farmland for particularly agricultural productive land. Yeah. I should be able to deconstruct my cities and turn them into a farm. You're a farmland enjoyer. Damn. All right. In that case, Rye Pie, I'll have to get them to give you another captcha to see if you're a real, if you're a thought criminal or not. You must pass 3 more captchas. Farmlands feel so unneeded. Yes. So the reason that farmlands exist theoretically, yeah. Okay. The reason I think that farmlands exist in conjunction with like making all of China subtropical and all that, I think the reason that exists is purely for them to be able to give those regions ludicrous population capacity. That's not something I have to worry about because with my mod, there's just no place that's going to be as pop dense as China or India. There's going to be places that'll be pop dense, but nothing like that. Nothing that requires me to upend the system and just be like, how do I just make this place objectively better to justify why it has so many more people than it otherwise could? It's just farmland terrain, which just for the rest of the game is just objectively better than anywhere else. Yeah. Theoretically, they're just maintained and domesticated arable plains. See, that's the problem, though, Rain. See, the reason I went on this humongous rant, you could still find it on my YouTube channel. I went on this humongous rant that was just a video talking about farmland. I fucking hate it. I'm so tilted right now, just thinking about the existence of farmland. TLDR. Farmland makes no sense. It should not exist, because all of the terrain types and vegetations that exist naturally. They exist by just what the place is and its natural vegetation. There are other systems that represent the cultivation of farmland and the bonuses and penalties therefore, that being the buildings. You can construct RGOs and actually improve the farmland. That is different. That, however, if you do this thing, if you increase the RGOs of farms and such in a given location, say that location is a grassland or it's arid, you build it up to make it full of more farms. That does not change the tile to become a farmland. The place that starts as a farmland is going to be one for the rest of the game, no matter what you do to it. Therefore, because of events that have happened before games start, that tile is and forever will be objectively superior to anything next to it. It simply will be better. London itself will always be a better tile than, like, York or something. York is probably farmland too. Why is York a farmland instead of a place that's next to it on the river? Because it's supposed to be objectively better. They make the farmland tiles because they want that tile to be objectively better, even though it makes no sense that that given location is just simply functionally way better because it has a better population capacity and better RGO cap and all sorts of other things just because they want it to be a better tile. You can't change this. As a result of this, there is not a single farmland tile in the entirety of the Americas. You can look at it. I will look it up now, even if I need to, and my rant goes on long enough. You can look at the map of the terrain and vegetation for the Americas, and you will not see a single farmland tile in the entirety of the Americas, and there never will be, because there has not been events before games start that caused the place to be considered farmland. And because that has not happened, it means that the rest of the game is punished. The Aztecs will never be able to make a tile that is as good. It simply will not be possible for you to have a place in Mesoamerica or the Mississippi. Cahokia has some really damn good places you could theoretically turn into farmland. They're probably well on their way, but the problem is they didn't quite succeed. So as a result, the natives of Cahokia, despite being on the Mississippi River Valley, which is an absolutely fantastic place and has very fertile soil, which is what would be a more realistic, unique vegetation type, they do not get any, and as a result are just not as good. There, end of rant. The big issue with North America is all the forest. Yeah, it's all covered in forest. You can't remove the forest. It gives you less population capacity, less development, worse projection of your control, and you can't change that. It simply will always be there, and because before games start, that exists. I can accept that. I can. But what I can't accept is the fact that there is farmland, because that is unnatural. That is an unnatural thing that they have taken before games start. Humans did this to make this place better. But that can't happen anywhere else. That feels unnatural and simply ridiculous to me. Salt Carthage's Rome and turn it into a desert. Yeah. Urban tiles do not exist. No, urban tiles do not exist. You can build a city. There is a location rank map mode. You get rural towns and cities. That is tracked. That is different, though. That does suck. You should be able to change the tiles, like chopping down a forest too quickly means it goes away. So a lot of forests in Europe got cut into plains. Places like Kansas and Idaho should have farmlands. It's very frustrating, more so when they have buildings that improve pop limits, meaning that they need to change is already there. Yeah, exactly. You've got buildings that would give you the same effect. Just make those areas start with more buildings. Yeah. Maybe they will change some tiles via events. I don't think that they will. I don't think they will. No. I'm sorry, Rain, but like also Tinto talks North America feedback. Like I will show you also Tinto talks North America feedback. Vegetation. Here's like the vegetation of the Americas. So you get the dark green is forest. Dark green is forest. The lighter green is woods, and then this is all grasslands, and then there's sparse on the Great Plains. This is just how it will be the rest of the game. There is nothing in the Mississippi that will ever be farmland. In fact, all of the land Cahokia owns is just woods and forest. But yeah, I would really like to be able to change them, but I don't think they're saying it's something with their engine. You just can't. Um, and then on top of that, if we go down past the cultures and languages, raw materials. Look at this. Actually, is there a more zoomed in? Yeah, more detailed raw materials. Let's go to, yeah, more zoomed in on, what everyone's really worried about, because the Great Plains are just entirely the Great Plains are entirely wild game with just a couple, like, I mean, you get some precious metals dotted around for some reason, I don't know why. But like East Coast, this stuff is not useful. There's just like you don't even have really useful stuff in the New World either. Like there's a couple bits of iron in the what Appalachians, I think they're called, and also a little bit further inland on the eastern seaboard. But like the rest of the Americas is like, God forbid you go up to Canada. If you ever make the mistake of going up to Canada, the only raw materials you've got are fur and wild game, which is more than a little frustrating to me as a Canadian because, fun fact, there is a shit ton of mining that goes on in eastern Canada and like Ontario and stuff around here, but there's just no resources here. Nothing. It's just fur and hunting. Yeah, there's farmlands in the Americas in EU4, but not in EU5. I would just rather the system was removed. I just don't like it. I just don't like the farmlands at all. All right. Um, I needed to stop this here though because God forbid, how long has this been going on for? I don't know. It's been over 2 hours at any rate. I think it's approaching 3 hours, so that is too long. Yeah, Farmlands hate stream. I it's ruined everything. Farmlands. They ruined the stream. They ruined EU5. They ruined everything. They just gems. Oh, there's some gems. I like gems. Gems make everything better, but they don't make my throat better. So, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I'll prepare to start Vic 3 and Benar stream once I've eaten and let my let my throat recover a bit. This is a pretty good first video from a channel. Yeah, stream. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that you had a good time. Rye pie eye. It was a pleasure to meet you as well. Always fun to meet new folks. Though any of you lurkers who stick around to this part of the stream are appreciated just as much, I assure you. Just having y'all out there is good. Jeffrey's a strong anti-farm opinions. Yeah. I don't like big pharma. Seeing this channel for the first time, I think I've seen you around, Silver. I think I've seen you in some Discord server or other. I've definitely seen you somewhere. I don't know where. But, regardless, pleasure to meet you as well. But with that, thank you all for what tag am I going to play in Victory and Benar? I don't know. That's the problem. I've been debating playing Eordan, but Eordan's really weak. That's the problem. Eordan's kind of screwed over by the gnomes, but I really want to play them. I want to successfully unite Eordan, but they're in such shit. I want to pull it off, but it's so bad. There's only one time while testing it I've managed to successfully yoink the lands from the gnomish hierarchy. There's one cheeky strat that I tried and successfully pulled off, but it's just, I don't know, man. I want to play just something that isn't a dwarf because I always play dwarves because dwarves are so fun. I might play Grombar. Not Grombar. No, I hate Grombar. On a fundamental level, I dislike Grombar. But like Osgaram, maybe Osgaram. Orcs in the New World is funny. But you've done a Jordan through Diplo. I don't know how you managed to get the gnomes to like you enough to do that, but you are tempting me to try. You definitely are tempting me to try. Well, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. And if any of you folks have joined my server, I'll probably join a VC there somewhere and talk. There's some guys playing Suzerain right now. I might hang out with them while I'm eating, or maybe I'll go someplace else and just think about what I'll play in Anbanar. But for now, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Bye bye.